si al aumentar la oferta aumenta más la demanda, eso significa que estamos generando más valor para una mayor cantidad de gente.
Claro, al final también la clave está en el incremento de la, digamos, de la riqueza. Si la gente tiene más renta disponible, tiene más riqueza disponible, aunque los precios aumenten, porque aumenta el valor de esa vivienda, no habría ninguna consecuencia negativa.
Pero justamente quería enlazar esto con otro asunto. Estamos presuponiendo, y esto va para Brian, estamos presuponiendo que precios más altos de la vivienda es algo malo, pero para ciertas personas, los propietarios, es algo bueno. Entonces, ¿cuáles son los pros y los contras de que se encarezca la vivienda? Para los que tienen es positivo, para los que no tienen es una barrera.
So, like, who is against it? That's a great question. I think the honest answer is a large majority of people are against building new housing because they are convinced that it would be terrible. So all the regulations that exist practically, when you ask people about them, they say, well, that's a good idea, that's a good idea, that's a good idea. A lot of the reason why I wrote the book is to say, first of all, there is at minimum an important downside of the regulations, which is reducing housing supply and raising prices. But also I say that most of the complaints that people have are either wrong or they're overstated. And especially people are just ignoring good things. Whenever there's discussion about whether to approve a building, there is much more talk about everything that could go wrong than everything that could go right. And yet, just from the very fact people want to live in cities, we know that the main thing that happens is things are going right. But people are so cautious that they would rather stop billion-dollar projects just because of very small complaints. So yes, of course, people are worried about traffic and parking. These are the obvious ones. Like I say, there are much better solutions for traffic and parking problems than stopping construction. People are just worried about things looking bad. A lot of the reason why I did this book as a graphic novel was just to say, let's just go and imagine how things would look. Does it look bad? I think actually a deregulated world looks a lot better than the world that we have today. I say, for example, that if you see a beautiful area of nature, usually it looks better if there's also some human construction there. If you think about the Amalfi Coast in Italy, for example, it looks better because humans did something with it. If it was just nature, it would be good, but it's humans who take good things and make them great. So really, there's just a lot of things that are a lot of complaints that people have where I think people are really just assuming the worst. You know, a lot of it is just basic denial of economics and saying, like, I don't believe that developers will cut prices if you let them build more. And the whole point is, look, they're not doing it out of charity. They're doing it because of competition. If you build a lot more stuff, how will you get people to move in? You've got to cut the price if you want people to move in. This is the heart of economics in general, but it's one that people seem especially unwilling to accept for housing.
Juan Ramón, me gustaría añadir algo a lo que ha dicho Brian, que comentó antes en el anterior comentario y en este comentario. Cuando la ciudad aumenta de densidad, no necesariamente va a haber más tráfico o va a haber peores condiciones de transporte. Es más, puede pasar como Madrid. Madrid es una ciudad de densidad media que se ha expandido hacia el exterior con densidades medias y densidades bajas. En Madrid hay atascos importantes, puesto que la gente que vive en la periferia se tiene que transportar al centro para trabajar. Aunque han incrementado considerablemente, gastando cientos de millones de euros en el metro, el transporte público colectivo, la realidad es que una ciudad así no puede funcionar con el transporte público colectivo, porque tiene densidad media. Sin embargo, cuando incrementa la densidad, el transporte colectivo sí empieza a funcionar. No es deficiente, la gente elige usar el transporte colectivo frente al automóvil porque le es más fácil y más rápido y no necesariamente aumenta el tráfico. Solo quería añadir eso porque parecería que si aumenta la densidad hay una correlación con el aumento del tráfico y no necesariamente es así, es más bien todo lo contrario.
Son varios los que están preguntando por el tema específico de las islas y creo que además esto es especialmente importante en una universidad como las Hespérides. Brian, ¿las soluciones que planteas también son aplicables a territorios donde hay poco espacio físico, como pueden ser Canarias o Baleares?
Yeah, absolutely. I have been living in the Canary Islands for about the last 2 weeks. I've driven all over the island. Actually, the island is full of space, and people who say there's no room for more things here are just crazy. I don't even know what I don't know what could even possess a person who has been to the Canary Islands and driven a car to think that there isn't more room. Most of the island is still uninhabited. So even just building the same kind of buildings that they're currently doing, there's room for 10 times as many people. But obviously, a lot of what I'm talking about is changing the kind of structures. So yes, if you go and take advantage of modern construction techniques, you can build much taller buildings, which allow a very large number of people to enjoy prime locations. So yes, and I mean, really, it's in the areas where people say nothing more can be done that usually there's way more that can be done. I mean, in the countryside, no one would be so crazy to say there's no room for more people. So it's like, yeah, well, that's true. But even in a place that people think of as very built up, normally what's really going on is government has been not allowing developers to use the technology that we have had for 100 years, building tall buildings. If you go to Maspalomas in the south of the island, some of those beautiful beaches in the world, and yet the hotels there, I didn't see any that were more than about 10 stories tall. Right? You can build them 10 times that tall. It's easy. Also, if you just drive around a little bit more, you'll see, wow, they're spending 10 acres on a go-kart track. All right, I enjoyed the go-karts, but like you could probably put housing in there for thousands of people in the place where you have some go-karts. It all comes down to if you can get the pieces of paper from the government saying you're allowed to do it. There is almost unlimited room for expansion, even in areas where people say there's no room. But there's enormous amounts of room to build. It's not hard as long as government gets its foot off the backs of the people that know what they're doing.
Gonzalo, que algo sabes de la cuestión.
I agree. Estoy totalmente de acuerdo con Brian. A ver, las Canarias indudablemente tienen mucho suelo para poder crecer, pero viendo tu pregunta, en espacios limitados como las islas, ¿cómo debería ser? Pues con más razón debería poderse permitir la densificación. Quiero decir con esto que entonces todo se va a densificar en las Islas Canarias, todo van a ser ciudades de alta densidad. No. Es una cosa porque los turistas no quieren tampoco estar únicamente en sitios de alta densidad. Hay turistas que quieren estar en baja densidad, otros media densidad, y por otro lado, los que vivimos, digamos, los que vivimos aquí y los que vivimos en las ciudades principales, pues algunas de las ciudades principales, algunas, no digo todas, pues se deberían de poder densificar. Y no digo que solo se puedan densificar, también pueden crecer porque hay mucho espacio disponible. Pero sobre todo hay que permitir las dos cosas, densificar especialmente y crecer por otro lado. Además, Canarias disfruta de unas infraestructuras de transporte espectaculares gracias a que hay turistas. Es decir, tenemos aeropuertos internacionales, tenemos autopistas, autovías, carreteras que no habrían en islas como esta si no fuera porque tenemos una gran afluencia de turistas. La capacidad, digamos, de poder crecer a nivel urbano y sobre todo densificarse en las principales ciudades no solamente es posible, sino que es necesaria y, por supuesto, todavía hay mucho recorrido para transformar parte de la ciudad y mucho recorrido para transformar partes de él, zonas que no son o no tienen ningún tipo de razón de ser para impedirse la urbanización.